Now we have as our guest Michael Lach, the Executive Director of the Harwich Conservation Trust. And Michael, you have a lot of things that have been going on. One of them, a very important one, is to raise money for the purchase of the 49 acres in East Harwich and Chatham and Brewster and I don't know, does it reach Orleans too?
Well, I mean, you're describing the extent of the 21,000 acre Pleasant Bay watershed, yes, which covers Harwich and Orleans and Chatham and Brewster. You'll see a map soon that shows really the extent of the watershed. Look at that, isn't that amazing? So look at all the way down on the bottom of your screen, there's Chatham, right? And then you see the outer beach off to your right with the Atlantic Ocean. And so you've got Chatham and Harwich and Brewster and Orleans, all part of the 21,000 acre Pleasant Bay watershed. And we zoom in here and we see where those 49 acres, they're outlined in yellow. And those 49 acres are on top of a groundwater flow that sends water directly into Round Cove every day. There's another photo showing the 49 acres in red this time.
Now that's salt water.
That's right. Groundwater's effect is flowing into the saltwater system, and also the 49 acres happens to be within the recharge area to municipal well sites, which serve nearly 10,000 households across Harwich. So we've got a drinking water importance to this property and a Pleasant Bay water quality importance. Really, if a potential 40-lot subdivision was constructed on this property, that would be sending more contaminants, more nutrients, more water pollution into Pleasant Bay, and we certainly don't want it to potentially affect drinking water wells. Not to mention the fact that this large landscape, the largest unprotected, undeveloped landscape in the entire 21,000 acre Pleasant Bay watershed, contains some very important wildlife habitat, from forested upland to wetlands that include some potential vernal pools, and it's got a rich history as well, right? We found out over the past year that Sea Captain John Kendrick was born on the property. He was known to Revolutionary era leaders including George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and more. And we also have learned that from Professor Emeritus Tim Earle of Northwestern University's Anthropology Department, that this property contains really a microcosm of Cape Cod history. Everywhere on the spectrum from pre-Native American to Native American settlement to colonial settlement and after. So he's fascinated by the potential there for archaeological significance. So what that leads me to say next is that even though we have met our acquisition fundraising goal, and how grateful we are, everyone should be, for the community coming together, individuals, families, foundations, businesses like the Wauquasit Resort and so many others coming together to meet that acquisition, that purchase price fundraising goal.
Now you had a lot of money, it seemed to us, to raise.
Oh yes, $3.6 million. But now what we have to do beyond that is, you can see I never take a break. That we also have to raise money for the land stewardship activities, to take care of the land in those ways that I just described, to pursue the potential archaeological assessment of the property so we know where the most sensitive resources might be, to draft a land management plan so we can place walking trails in the appropriate areas, to create a parking area off Kendrick Road, and many more activities, signage and perhaps some interpretive kiosk displays at key locations. So we're trying to raise another $250,000, and as we raise those funds over time, we'll be able to implement the management and the stewardship objectives. So that's where we're at.
Those aren't as critical as the money that you needed to buy the property.
That's right.
Yeah, you can take that in pieces, I gather.
Right. The priority was acquire the property, make sure it didn't succumb to development and impact Pleasant Bay and wildlife.
Well, you did a great job in raising $3.6 million in a year.
Yeah, well, and again, it has to go right back to the community, and the support of so many coming together. It's really, it's amazing. It's really amazing. A grassroots community effort. People get it. They recognize that the quality of life that we all enjoy here, you know, whether we came from afar or, you know, some people were born here or raised here, it doesn't matter. We're all Cape Cod citizens. And we understand that what holds us here and what brings so many more is really the natural landscapes, the woods and the water and the wildlife and that quality of life. And this project, this Pleasant Bay Woodlands project, and as well as our other land-saving efforts, are all about preserving that quality of life.
Very good.
So, you know, hats off to everybody, really in Harwich and beyond, because this was took many hands, many people, many hours, a lot of time.
Was there
and
any one big gift that came in that made this purchase possible?
Well, with this scale of fundraising, we had to have several.
Several, okay,
So,
very good.
Yeah, and you know, it all added up, whether it was small or large, and
Now, was this all under your tutelage, or did you have other assistance?
yes, this is something I've been working on for more than 10 years, but I have to say, I couldn't do it without the support of our stellar staff. It's Jane Harvey, our Director of Development, Matt Cannon, our Land Stewardship Coordinator, Alva Chaletsky, our Administrative Assistant, plus all of our volunteers that were helping with either fundraising events or outreach materials, or you know, just helping to keep the office running. We have a whole volunteer corps, 3 gentlemen who specialize in information technology.
Wow.
Their former professional lives included being engineers and information technology specialists, some of them from multinational corporations, and they're helping us, being a real big part, as well as all of our other volunteers and our staff that I mentioned, in making these land-saving successes possible. It's really a group effort. It's so fun to be a part of. It's so fun.
Now, is this the last big piece of land?
I have to tell you, we'll talk more about that at another time, but, I will tell you that the day that we reached the acquisition fundraising goal, I was approached on another significant project. And we've already been, even before that, over the last couple months, working on some other significant land-saving projects. So there's more that we're hoping for, but you never know how things will shake out, so stay tuned. Yeah.
There'll be another fundraiser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good. And now you wanted to talk about another. Yeah,
the Enstar spraying,
Enstar
the herbicide spraying.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, now, there are so many things now that, you know, they have the West Nile virus, and they have all other kinds of events they spray for. Is this for anything like that?
No, this one, that's a good question. Yeah, when we hear spraying, you know, we can think of those other things you mentioned. But this in particular has to do with Enstar, right, our local utility company, keeps the power lines operating. Their approach is to spray herbicides within these utility right-of-ways where the power lines run through to keep the vegetation low. So they're trying to kill the certain plants with the herbicide to maintain their access to the power lines. Now, this controversy has been going on for more than a few years, but recently heated up over the past couple years when many folks, many communities, many town boards, boards of health, water commissioners, boards of selectmen and others began asking some questions about whether this was absolutely necessary, was it completely safe, and many of those town boards across the Cape oppose Enstar's herbicide spraying, more specifically, most especially within the recharge area to public water supply wells, because it seems to still be an open question as to whether, at least by some people, whether the herbicide within these well-field recharge areas is a threat now or in the future. So what we've been doing, you'll see some photos in a second, we've been doing with our volunteers, really under the leadership of HCT's Land Stewardship Coordinator Matt Cannon, is now take a look at this. This is the right-of-way power line easement through the town's water department land in East Harwich, south of Bay Road. Now you'll notice a lot of brown there. Those are pitch pine saplings. You'll see some green there as well. And the brown indicates where Enstar sprayed last fall. Okay, but you can see there's still a lot of growth occurring. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a whole nother swath of this easement, this power line right-of-way, that hadn't been sprayed yet. So we at Harwich Conservation Trust, there's an image of it right there. You can see a lot of green still. Mm-hmm. We at Harwich Conservation Trust approached the town water department, specifically the Board of Water Commissioners, as well as the Town Conservation Commission, because this right-of-way travels through land controlled by both entities. And we asked if we could be helpful by coordinating volunteers that would visit these properties and by hand or with hand tool remove these, maybe 5 to 7 foot high or shorter woody plants, specifically pitch pine and some oak saplings, so that when Enstar revisits these power line right-of-ways in the future, they will see that the plant growth has already been kept at a low state, a low height, and hopefully it will dissuade them from spraying again.
So this is primarily to prevent trees from growing.
That's right, in the power line right-of-way to stop the spraying from continuing. Mm-hmm. So now the volunteers have been out on successive Wednesday mornings. In fact, they're out there right now. You can see some great photos of our volunteers hard at work. And they're out there. We provide, juice and water. And they're out there for a couple hours. There's Matt Cannon shown off to the left there. We have some volunteers also accompanying him in that photo. And they're busy trimming back the vegetation, and again, in the hopes that Enstar won't spray herbicide in these sensitive well-field recharge areas again. It remains to be seen whether they will. But the Water Department, the Board of Water Commissioners is very supportive. The Town Conservation Commission is very supportive. And we're glad to lend a hand and work alongside our volunteers to make this happen. It's a great community project, wonderful benefit. And it gets people outside and moving and contributing.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, contributing in a positive way.
Walking in an area and doing something.
Yeah,
that's a very
and it's
productive.
beautiful. It's beautiful out there too. Yeah.
I know. I think I walk by there.
Yeah.
On the bike path.
Right.
I don't go off the bike path that far, but when you mentioned East Harwich, I walked to the Chatham line, and then I turn around and come back. But not because I don't like Chatham, but because that's about as far as I can go. And come back. Excuse me, but there are a lot of spaces that go off that path. And I know some of them cover the electricity, which goes over them. And it seemed more than one. I'm not sure, but I think there's more than one in that area.
Yeah, there's a couple of different right-of-ways. I mean, the major ones, there's a swath that runs all the way roughly east-west through Harwich and then runs north at where Chatham and Harwich share the border near Muddy Creek and goes right up through into Brewster and Orleans, and that's the main one we're working on in East Harwich at the moment because it's within the wellfield recharge area to multiple well sites. So that's what we're focusing on at the moment. But yeah, and we're certainly welcoming additional volunteers. People can call us at 508-432-3997, or they can email us too. Our email is hct@cape.com. So, and people can always check our website for that contact information, which is harwichconservationtrust.org. So it's exciting stuff.
Well, you make it exciting.
Well,
and that's part of your job, because and that's very good. Well, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, it's a
isn't it?
wrap.